what's missing with the Obsbot Tail AIR. Just so you know, we are not finished seeing new live streaming camera options come out. But today, let's talk about the most recent offering to hit the market. I'm Jason Hoffman. My goal is to help you have the confidence to just press go live. The Obsbot Tail AIR is now for sale on the Obsbot website. Kickstarter is done, Indiegogo is finished, and people are getting them in their hands. And let's look first at some of the selling points. What does the Obsbot Tail AIR have that makes it worth buying? And then we'll talk about what it's missing. First of all, it has a 4K sensor. Now, this should be standard for all live streaming cameras from here on out. I know the eMeet is a new offering, but it's really targeted as a budget offering, not necessarily one that is for our higher end, personal, hobby type live streams. But this newest offering that we have from Obsbot, the Tail AIR, comes in at $500. Now, if you want NDI, the licensing to use NDI across your networks, it's going to cost you an extra $100. If you want the remote that goes with it, it's going to cost you an extra $79. If you want the PoE Ethernet adapter, that's going to cost you another $79. If you want the 360 charging base that allows you to have true full 360 rotation out of the Tail AIR, that's going to cost you a pretty penny as well. So there are accessories that you can add on to this, but it comes to market at a $500 price tag. For that $500, you get a 4K sensor. A 4K sensor allows you to punch in 2x and still have 1080. We still don't have the ability to stream in 4K to YouTube or Facebook anyway, but the ability to record in 4K is a great plus because it allows for great post-processing. So the 4K sensor that this one has in it, it is absolutely a selling point for the Obsbot Tail AIR. It also has PTZ, Pan, Tilt, Zoom. Now the zoom in the Pan, Tilt, Zoom for the Obsbot Tail AIR is, granted, digital. However, it exists. Pan lets you swing from side to side. The head on this camera, within software or auto tracking, AI tracking, you have the ability for this to follow you a long way around, 350 plus degrees, which means if I'm in the corner of the shot on this side of the pan, if I go all the way around, I'll be on the other corner of the shot when I get to this side. So it's a really good feature to have when you're trying to cover a wide area but still be up close. Think volleyball or basketball games. Think worship services at a church where you can put this close to the front ledge of the court or the platform and still be able to find everything that's going on. The tilt part of Pan, Tilt, Zoom gives you this up and down tilt motion, which is actually more handy than you might think. It is nice just to be able to set your level and be good all the way across, but we can't always do that. And so the ability, think baseball game, when I am mounted above the dugout, I have the ability to come down to the things that are happening here or go out to the things that are happening across the infield. It's a great tool to have the ability to tilt this. And then the zoom. Now the zoom, like we said, is a digital zoom, but this lens that we have here is, well, it's actually quite remarkable for a digital zoom because you're going to see that this shot puts me really close to the camera. But the background, although I'm in focus here, the background behind me has a nice blur effect. That's really nice to come out of a PTZ camera. If you find this kind of content to be useful or enjoyable, would you mind hitting that like button? It's the best way I've found for YouTube to let me know to continue to produce content just like this. A great thing to add to the PTZ function is its ability to have presets. Now, in the software, you're going to remember that we have presets that we can just tap the screen and they go around to the different presets that we have already set up. But the ability to have presets means even on my remote here, change my presets 1, 2, and 3 right there. So if all I have for a Pop Warner football game is this one Obsbot Tail AIR, I can set my preset for this end of the field, for the center of the field, and this end of the field, and all of a sudden I'm catching the whole game right fast and being able to stream that back to the grandparents who couldn't make it to the game that day. PTZ plus presets is a great feature for the Obsbot Tail AIR. Then, one thing that this one has that other cameras have not been able to put into their bag of tricks so far is HDMI out. Now, it's a micro HDMI, so you either have to have an adapter or the right cable, but HDMI out lets me put it into an ATEM Mini. It lets me put it into the YOLOBox Pro. It lets me put it into a switcher, hardware switcher, that I can implement this with other cameras and have a great little PTZ to find all my shots, and it comes out as HDMI for my live stream that's handled by another piece of equipment. We also have NDI. Now, NDI has an asterisk beside it because it is an extra cost. NDI is that technology from NewTek that allows me to put this camera on my network and then be able to find it with whatever other device will pick up an NDI signal. Then I can use that for whatever streaming I want to do. So between 4K, PTZ, presets, HDMI, and NDI, I've got a great list of things this little device does have. But there's one thing I find that it's missing. And I'm not saying it's always going to be missing because it's not a hardware feature of the Obsbot Tail AIR. It is a software feature of the Obsbot Tail AIR. It's missing a multi-camera app. Their native app is a single camera app, where we saw the Nearstream release a multi-camera app as their first software offering, and we saw eMeet release a multi-camera app as their first software offering. We're seeing Obsbot go the route of Mevo, who released a single cam app as their first software offering. So I have to change my cameras. I can only stream with one of them at a time if I am in the Obsbot software. The great thing about the features it does have is because of NDI, because of HDMI, because of RSTP, which is also a function that it does have. Not a lot of folks use that, but it's incredibly useful. Because of those kinds of features, I can pull it into OBS. I can pull this into the Mevo multicam software because of NDI. There are a lot of other ways I can use it, but if I'm going to use its native software, which is really, really good, they've done a fantastic job for their first release, and I find no noticeable differences between the Android version, which has been out for a couple of months, and the iOS version, which is brand new. They act exactly the same as far as I can tell. It's a great little piece of software, and I look forward to them implementing all the things they have there into a multi-camera version of the same, because we know the multi-camera setup so much more useful when we're dealing with streams that are a little bit bigger than just the interviews or just the worship service where the platform is relatively small. We want to be able to add more cameras, more views, hopefully more presets while we're at it, and then we'll be able to have that multi-camera setup that takes our streams to the next level. So let me ask you, have you received your Obsbot Tail AIR in the mail yet? Have you purchased one? Love to see your comments down in the comments section below.